Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft, filling in for Joy Taylor. On today's show, which quarterback should be first to come off the board in April's NFL draft? Plus, why Dez Bryant could remain with the Cowboys this season. And is Kobe Bryant's win at the Oscars more impressive than his 5 championships? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Let's start with the NFL Combine. The quarterbacks took center stage this weekend in Indianapolis. Sam Darnold did not throw, but Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Baker Mayfield all got mostly positive reviews for their performances. All 4 of those guys could go in the top 10 picks, but they all have some issues, including Mayfield's arrest, Rosen's attitude, Darnold's turnovers, and Allen's lack of competition. Ooh. So Shannon, after all you've seen, which quarterback is the best? I mean, were you impressed? What'd you make of it?
Skip, if you love Josh Allen going into this combine, you're going to marry him. He's your guy. He checks all the boxes.
I agree.
Skip, he's the exact same height as Carson Wentz, 6'5". They weigh the exact same thing, 237. Hand size, 10. Carson Wentz, college coach, went to left North Dakota and went to Wyoming.
Yep.
He was also Josh Allen's coach.
Yep.
So if you love him, big time arm. And what you're saying is that in Wyoming, he did not have 4- and 5-star recruits to throw the ball to. So he will look a lot better once you surround him with better talent. So if you like Josh Allen going in, he's your guy coming out. I thought all the guys threw the ball well. Sam Darnold did not throw. And as Jenny was mentioning in the read, the thing that concerns me about Sam Darnold, Skip, is that whatever problems you normally have at the quarterback position in college, you bring that with you to the NFL. And he's a turnover machine. And so that would concern me because we saw that with Jameis Winston. He turned the ball over a lot in college. He still has yet to shake that bug in the NFL. Josh Rosen, Skip, I don't know, he looks fragile. He doesn't, and not to say because he's still a young man, so there's going to be time for him to mature and put some weight on. But he just looked fragile. And when I watched him play, and I didn't see a whole lot of him, but when I watched him go head-to-head with Sam Darnold, I thought he was better than Sam Darnold. Yeah. I thought with the talent that he had, he was better. Baker Mayfield, Skip, I can't get around the fact, and everybody keeps saying, yeah, but if he didn't have those red flags, but he does.
Yeah.
So that's there. But if he was 6'5", but he's not. So he's 6 foot tall, and in the 99-year history, we can count on one hand how many 6 foot and under quarterbacks has been successful. Okay. Let's just go to the Super Bowl era. How many 6 foot and under quarterbacks have won the championship? You got 2. In 51, 52 years, Skip? Yeah. So basically you got Drew Brees and you got Russell Wilson.
You do.
So that was my concern. I thought Lamar Jackson threw the ball well, Skip.
His accuracy comes and goes, but he's got a nice arm.
The deep ball, look, is 5 and a hitch. It's not 5 and hitch. So I think you can break him out of that. But I think the big winner was Josh Allen because he threw the ball exceptional.
Did he further impress Shannon Sharpe, Hall of Famer? Are you a little more bullish?
From the little bit that I saw him in the bowl game, Skip, I see. Because early on when everybody had these mock drafts and they're talking about the Browns might take him number 1 overall, I say for what? But when you watch him, like I said, when I would do the combine and sporting event, Skip, I don't listen to the sound because I don't want all these ooh and ahs to cloud my judgment. Yeah, but he can throw it. He can spin the football. So the Cleveland Browns, if the Cleveland Browns liked him going into the combine, Skip, he's going to be their first pick.
Okay. So, my big picture is the same as it was before I watched all weekend long at the Combine. I don't love any of these quarterbacks. I'm not completely sold on any of these quarterbacks. They all have flaws or they have red flags, as Jenny points out. If I had to take one number 1 overall, I would take Baker Mayfield, and I'll explain that more in a minute. I'm not sold, but if I had to, if I said I need it and I'm going to close my eyes and risk it, I would risk Baker Mayfield.
Even with all those flags?
Even with all those flags. But let's go back to, let's start with Josh Allen.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm all about the tape doesn't lie. Okay. Just watch the tape. I dare anybody, again, you know what's about to happen. Every year this happens. the NFL teams are going to miss on all these kids. And when this draft is all said and done, let's say 5 years from today, you will look back on this draft. I will bet you that the success rate will be no better than 50% on all the kids that we saw at the Combine over the weekend. They'll all be drafted too high or they'll be underdrafted.
Well, you hope it's 50%, considering they had over 330 guys. So
That's
you
what I'm
hope.
saying. But there's so many swings and
Yes.
misses, especially, as John Elway will tell you, at the quarterback
Yes.
position. So let's go back to Josh Allen. Watch the tape. It does not lie about what happened when his pretty good team, it went 8-5. I don't know. It's not a very talented team at Wyoming. But when it went up against its three best opponents, when it went to Iowa, when it went to Boise State, when it played Oregon at home, look what happened. Not much happened. He threw 1 touchdown to 5 interceptions against those 3 opponents. Not great.
No.
I watched him in the first half of the Senior Bowl. Trust me, it wasn't great. Accuracy came and went. He looked a little shaky. There was some deer in headlights in the pocket, but it's all new to him. He's taken it up a whole nother level. So is he Carson Wentz? Because it's too easy to leap to the conclusion. North Dakota State, Wyoming, okay, coach.
You know everybody's doing
They're
this.
going to do it. No, he's not Carson Wentz. If Doug Peterson were to get a hold of this kid and you gave Doug Peterson a couple of years with him, could he make him into Carson Wentz? He might. He really impressed me. You look what he did with Nick Foles at the end of the year. But I'm going to say Josh Allen will underwhelm you when he gets drafted in pro football. I'm not buying. I know he throws it, whatever, it's 70 miles an hour and throws it 90
Threw it
yards.
like 60, 65 yards on the deep
Well, the
ball.
one was a 70-yarder. I don't know if they've been showing that, but it was a 70-yard bomb, hits the kid right in the hands and knocked the crowd out of its seats, and I'm sure it wowed a bunch of easily amused NFL talent evaluators who are going to be too easily amused by Josh Allen. Josh Rosen, again, you dealt with him.
Yeah.
A couple times?
A couple times, multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. Look, to me, Josh Allen got by at UCLA. Josh Rosen got by at UCLA with polished college talent. Extremely polished, because he was way ahead of his curve. He'd gone to all the right camps. He has a whole lot of ability. He's a natural thrower. So against college talent, he rose to the top. And he did outplay Sam Darnold, UCLA versus USC. I'll give you that.
Okay.
I've never loved whatever he's made of. His intangibles, his love for football, his mental toughness. I'm not going to trust it in pro football. When you put him, if you put him in the New York media market, I just think they would slowly tear him apart, and I'm not sure he could stand up to the beating. Sam Darnold, look, it bothered me he didn't throw. And Andrew Luck didn't throw. Matthew Stafford didn't throw, Sam Bradford didn't throw, but they were all clear-cut #1 overalls, and their agent just said, you can do nothing but hurt yourself, forget it.
Right.
Sam Darnold, to me, is not clear-cut, and I kind of wanted to see him get out there with the other kids and say, hey, watch me.
I'm sure a lot of teams feel the very same way, because they're saying, hold on, everybody else that's in the top 5 as far as quarterbacks are here. What are you afraid of?
Yeah, what are you
What are you
afraid
hiding?
of? What are you hiding? It's not that hard. Nobody expects that much.
Right.
And Deshaun Watson walked onto that field last year at the Combine, and I told you the next Monday, he was the alpha.
Right.
He was the lead dog, man. He just took over the pack and said, I'm doing this. And you could just see his leadership among the quarterbacks. And I told you before the draft, Deshaun Watson is by far the best player in this draft. I'm sorry, if Cleveland doesn't take him, I said this before the draft, they're going to make a monumental long-term mistake that they will regret for years to come. And I'm pretty sure they're regretting it right
Well, we didn't need the Combine to tell us Deshaun Watson was
okay.
the best. We watched 2 national championship games against Alabama.
And yet, to your point about Jameis, which I agree, and about Darnold, which I agree, mistake makers, listen, Deshaun, his last year at Clemson, he was a mistake maker until the championship game. But I kept saying, I think he's like bored, not bored, but just looking ahead.
Right.
All he wants to do is right the wrong of the championship game, and he had to go back and get through a regular season to get back to Coach Saban's defense so he could do it again to Coach Saban's defense with a different outcome.
And Skip, if you go to the combine as a quarterback and you throw, they normally say, well, these are not his receivers. Yep. So he has no rapport with them.
No, he
so
doesn't.
for him to look good throwing to those guys, imagine when he gets time and he gets an opportunity to work with these guys on a regular occasion.
Yep.
But for him not to throw, they automatically assume, what are you hiding? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of because Skip, you're on a job, this is an interview. You're job auditioning. And so everybody's coming in there and they're talking to these bosses and they want to see you.
Okay. And for the quarterbacks, that may be even a bigger part of the package than actually watching them throw to receivers they don't know.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So that brings me back to my guy, Baker Mayfield, from the school that I grew up loving, the University of Oklahoma. I watched every snap he took at the University of Oklahoma. And I have tried and tried to be completely sold, and I'm not completely sold. But I will say this, compared to those other three, Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback, all-around best quarterback, and I'll tell you why. He is, let me just put it this way, he's the least flawed of the quarterbacks because he is by far the most accurate thrower of these guys.
Right.
By far, listen, he is deadly accurate, and he has a live arm for his size. So does Russell Wilson have. He's got that kind of an arm.
Right.
He can just fling it, man,
Yeah.
and it comes out sweet, and he can throw it deep, he can throw it intermediate, he's got nice touch, he's got the whole throwing package. He's also the least likely of all these quarterbacks to make a mistake, which boggles my mind because I always saw him coming in as a risk taker.
No, Skip, he's least likely to make a mistake on the field. He's most likely to make one.
I'm talking about, I'm just ranking him on the field now. Just as a pure quarterback. He played in a high-risk, sort of run-and-shoot kind of an offense.
Correct.
But he would miss safely if that computes. He knows how to miss the throw, where to miss the throw.
Right.
And look at the low interceptions. I mean, last year he was 43 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, which led Division I in touchdown to interception ratio.
That's great.
That's just staggeringly
That's
good.
historic.
Okay? And then going back to...
That's Aaron Rodgers, Skip.
It is Aaron Rodgers. And then going back to his first year, he had 8 interceptions, then 7, then 6. So he was coming down in interceptions, and they were already low to start with. And I told you before, you know how much I love QBR. 2 years ago, he led college football in QBR, and last year, just by like a 1/10 of a point, he was second. So he almost led it twice in a row. Now, when we talk about, I'm talking on the field. When I'm talking about on the field leadership intangibles, his are off the charts. On the field. I'm not talking, but in the huddle, maybe in the locker room. As far as inspirational, I'm not sure you can get much better than this. Which is why Charlie Weiss, who coached Tom Brady in his first few years in the National Football League, sat right here the day after that Georgia-Oklahoma game in the national semifinal and pointed up there to that picture and said, I'm taking him first overall because he has things I can't teach or coach. Okay? That's Charlie Weiss. I think he knows a thing or two about a thing or two, right?
Yeah. Skip, but my thing is that how do I get past the red flags and the height?
Okay, so one last point before I get to that. He ran 4.840, which is predictable to me because he's not downfield fast.
I don't care nothing about no 40 for the quarterback.
Okay, but I do, if like Lamar, I want to know that he can fly.
Well, you know, Lamar was going to run faster than those guys.
He's
We know
just going to
that.
run way faster.
Right.
Okay, but Baker Mayfield has real pocket elusivity. Trust me, it's almost Manziel-esque, and I hate to bring up the name because I'm going to bring it up in a negative context here in just a second, but just as far as escapability, elusivity in the pocket, he's doing it to throw, not to run. He's not going to gash you downfield. Every once in a while he will, but he's just trying to escape, and he's hard to contain in the pocket. Okay, so all those things are plus, 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 and then we get to height. Okay, just remember, he's 6 foot and 5/8, so he's about a half an inch taller than Drew Brees was at the combine. He's a full inch taller than Johnny Manziel, and he's 2 inches. He's 2 inches taller than Russell Wilson. Just for the record, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but he's at the high end of the low scale. Okay, so he's high short. Okay, all right. Then
he's a big little person.
But speaking of Johnny Manziel,
there
are red flags everywhere off the field, and we've talked about them, and I can't dismiss them, but I can't I'm not going to take him all the way to the bank. It's just potential. He has Johnny potential because the question becomes for Baker Mayfield, does he really love the game of football or what excelling at the game of football can do for his nightlife?
Correct.
Because I fear it might be more toward the latter.
Right.
So he interviewed, I read tons of stories. He interviewed great at the combine because so did Johnny. Mm-hmm. They're the classic kid adult. You know, they can turn on their 33-year-old personality.
Sure. Go ahead and give him that Eddie Haskell.
It's Eddie Haskell. It's all over. Johnny was the perfect Eddie Haskell, and Baker scares me because he reminds me of Johnny. He can just click it on for an interview. You think, boy, he's 10 years older than he comes. Yeah, boom. And the adults are all like,
yeah. Huh. Eddie went from thumping Beaver on the head to saying, yes, Miss Cleaver.
Yeah.
Yes,
sir, Mr. Cleaver.
Skip, and here's the thing. Everybody wants to just brush, these were isolated incidents.
Yeah.
We thought this was isolated with Johnny.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Baker Mayfield could have easily not had these red flags, not had alcohol-related incidents, not run from the police, not have the issue with immaturity, and I believe he would have been compared more favorably to a Drew Brees and Russell Wilson. But because he has these red flags, he did win a Heisman Trophy, and Johnny Manziel is still fresh in our memory. There's going to be that parallel. Now, once he gets drafted, this is where he can say, you know what? I'm going the opposite direction than what you thought I was like Johnny Manziel.
Okay, all right.
But that's on him. But right now, we would be foolish to say, no, that's just pie in the sky. No, it happened. And it's because of his behavior. But you know what, Skip? I'm still waiting for his coaches to come out and say, oh, no, that's not the Baker. I want Lincoln Riley. I want Bob Stoops. Because remember now with Orlando Brown, we're going to discuss him a little bit. He had a terrible combine, an historically bad combine. And Baker Mayfield rushed to his defense. Now, when everybody's saying all this, I don't hear Bob Stoops. I don't hear Lincoln Riley. I want some people that know Johnny. I'm not Johnny, but Baker Mayfield.
Johnny Mayfield.
Yeah.
Interesting you say that, though, because Lincoln Riley, and we were with them all year, he did always defend Baker to us. This is no cameras.
It came across like he was big brother.
A respect, and I think the age played a part in that.
Right.
But I think Baker Mayfield has that X factor, and how can we say he's similar to Manziel? There's an underdog mentality to Baker that I don't think Manziel had.
Okay, but to your point, and I agree, there's potential for Johnnyism here, but it hasn't reached fruition yet.
Correct.
But if you look back, this always scares me, and this is a red flag in the bigger picture.
Okay.
Remember, Baker Mayfield is the classic overachiever in that he walked on at Texas Tech, so he wasn't recruited out of high school. At least Johnny was he was going to go to Oregon with Chip Kelly, and then A&M jumped in at the last second and said, wait a second, if Texas doesn't want you, we'll take you.
Right.
Okay? But remember, Baker Mayfield then had to walk on a second time at Oklahoma.
Right.
So he's a two-time walk-on who won the Heisman Trophy. Is there some overachievement going on?
Well, you know he's made of the right stuff. You know he has the toughness, he has the fight, he has the fortitude to not let things bother him. Because Skip, I mean, he walks on. I mean, to earn a scholarship as a walk-on, especially at the quarterback position, and then walk on at Oklahoma, and not only do you walk on, you win the job, and you go on and win the Heisman Trophy. So you know he's made of the right stuff.
No, but when you get to your level, the NFL level,
we don't care nothing about that. They don't care nothing about that.
Well, you got to be able, you got to have the talent wrapped around the overachievement,
yes,
that
absolutely.
mentality.
Yeah,
because Tom Brady went in the 6th round, but listen, Tom Brady's 6'4". He's prototypical, right?
Yes, he falls in that range, 6'3.5" to 6'5.5".
Yeah.
But here's the thing. That's why I don't care nothing about 40 for the quarterbacks. Because the greatest quarterback to play the game is Tom. And you saw him.
Sorriest 40.
The sorriest 40. I mean, Rich Eisen is looking like Chris Johnson compared to Tom Brady.
No, I agree.
But the fact of the matter is, Skip, in that phone booth, where you shuffle side to side or you move front to back, very few people have been able to do it better than he can.
I agree. Which brings me to my bottom line point about what we all witnessed over the weekend, and it continues today with the defensive backs, the combine. I think you're with me. It's way overrated as far as how it applies to whether somebody can actually play in the NFL or not.
True.
Back to Orlando Brown. Again, he's an All-American left tackle from my University of Oklahoma Sooners. His father played 9 years in this league as a starting right tackle
Correct.
for the Browns and the Ravens. Zeus, he was called,
Yes.
Orlando Brown Sr. And Junior is 6'8", 345, and he had the worst vertical jump of any player who's ever been drafted, and he had the worst broad jump, or they call it broad or long.
Standing long jump.
Yeah. Standing long jump, of any player ever drafted, and I don't care. He ran a 5'8", 540, which would be the second worst of any player ever drafted, and I don't care. Trust me on this. I watched him every snap. He engulfs people.
Right.
He can play at a high level in this league because at 345 with arms that long, well, as Baker Mayfield said, and you can say, well, he's just defending his teammate, but trust me, he gave up no sacks last year.
Well, Skip, here's the thing. He's going to make people go back and look at the tape a lot more closely because Skip,
hard.
Skip, remember, I said the combine is supposed to be confirmation. It's supposed to be validation for what you saw. He looked powerful on tape, so you would like for him to go and when he bench press, do 25, do 30.
And he did 14.
And so everyone's like, hold on, wait a minute. So now, not only am I going to evaluate him, I'm going to evaluate the defensive players he went up against because they're going to start to say, hold on, wait a minute. You couldn't get a sack against a guy because Shaquem Griffin, who we're going to talk about later, Skip, he did 20 with a prosthetic.
He did.
So that's all it's going to do, Skip. You want to see a lot. I don't care about the 40. I don't care if he ran a 7-flat 40 because the guy's only going to line up 4 inches from him. So he's not going to get a chance to run that fast or that far. So I don't care about that. I want to. Does he look strong on tape?
Yep.
Yeah, we like. No, he didn't. He didn't play. He didn't project strong at the combine. Is he explosive? What I mean by explosive, and that's what the vertical and the standing broad jump, Skip. How well can he move through his hips? Well, he didn't project that.
No.
So now I got to go back
do.
and look at the tape.
Do.
I'm going to give him an opportunity because maybe something is going on in his life that he's not telling us. Maybe somebody close to him can verify. But that's what the thing is, Skip. I'm going to go back. His pro day, he'll get a second chance, and I believe he'll do better. But 14, Skip, those are red flags. Those are red flags. For a 14 for an offensive lineman, I'm not saying, would I love for him to be Larry Allen? Bench 700 pounds, Skip.
I don't know if he'd be Larry Allen, but remember I said this. He'll be a Pro Bowl player at the next level. He's just that good. I know.
6'8", I mean, can he be Jonathan Ogden, Pace, Walter Jones?
I don't know, you're talking Hall of Fame.
I got to go with Skip on this one because the tape doesn't lie when it comes to him. He is impressive.
Sometimes it does lie.
Sometimes. We'll see.
You know, don't believe everything you see, Skip, because sometimes sugar looks like salt.
That is true.
No mercy.
Hey guys, Joy Taylor here. Before the show moves along, I wanted to tell you that support for the Undisputed podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They understand that home plays a big role in your life and family. That's why they created Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. It's simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. Whether you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th, with Rocket Mortgage, you get a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. It's convenient. Our trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button. And in addition to getting a real mortgage approval in minutes, you can even adjust the rate and length of your loan in real time to make sure you're getting the right solution for you. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/undisputed. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
No mercy.
NFL Network reports the Browns are considering Saquon Barkley with the #1 overall pick. Barkley helped his cause with a very impressive performance at the Combine. He did 29 reps on the bench press, which tied for the best among running backs, and he ran a 4.4 in the 40. Barkley said over the weekend that the Browns are, quote, just a couple pieces away. We're joined by Fox College football analyst Joel Klatt. He was impressive.
Yeah.
He checked all the boxes. Do you think the Browns should take him #1?
I don't think they should take him #1, but they need to make people believe that they will take him #1. Let me give you a quick, and I know it's just recent history, but just a quick example of this. San Francisco last year had no intention whatsoever of selecting Mitchell Trubisky, but they had to at least have the lore that they might. Why? Because then Chicago had to trade up in order to get their guy, and then they moved back one, still got Solomon Thomas, picked up an extra pick. Then they got their guy late in that draft. they had an excellent plan, San Francisco did, because all the options, at least the perception was, were on the table. So Cleveland had better be kicking the tires on Saquon Barkley, because then if someone's fallen in love with him, maybe they think they've got to go all the way up and get him. Now, would I select Saquon Barkley or any running back number 1 overall in the NFL draft? No. No, I wouldn't. The last rushing leader / running back MVP to win the Super Bowl in the same year was this guy's teammate, Terrell Davis, in 1998. It's just a different league. Now you've got to have a real complementary offensive line like Ezekiel Elliott have when we went to the Cowboys, a great offensive line to do damage in your division and ultimately your conference to potentially get to the Super Bowl, which the Cowboys were unable to do, even with Elliott and that historically great offensive line in his rookie season. So to me, it's more about his position with the number 1 pick versus his talent. His talent speaks for itself. It's incredible. This guy is a jitterbug holding a stick of dynamite. You know, I mean, you just don't get to see this combination of speed, power, balance, contribution out of the backfield, catching the football. He really does check all the boxes. He's a terrific leader, a terrific person, and I think whoever selects him, New York Giants, would be very, very happy with that selection.
Interesting. By the way, Terrell Davis was a sixth round draft pick.
Yep.
I just want to get that on the record. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I would only select this young man if he's substantially, significantly better than a quarterback that I like. If it's close, I'm taking the quarterback because the quarterback is too valuable. That is running backs are not foundation piece. They're nice to have, but they're not a foundation piece. You get that guy, you got a chance to win a lot of games. And Cleveland has lost 34 of 35 games. Now, Skip, they have 4 picks in the top 35. Now, if somebody wants to move up, they're in love with one of these quarterbacks, I'll trade down. I'll move back a couple spots if you want. Whoever you want, take them. But here's the thing, Skip. If I got my draft board in this set and Josh Allen's number 1 or Baker Mayfield, I wouldn't take Baker. Let me stop lying. If Josh Allen's number 1,
you said if though. You did say if.
Yeah, I don't believe Baker will be number 1 on Cleveland board. But if one of these big quarterbacks, the 6'4", 6'5" guys is number 1, I'm taking him, Skip. I'm taking him. And guess what I'll do? I got 4 picks in the top 35. I'll trade with the Giants. Let me get number 2, and then I'll take Barkley. But I think they have nice running backs. I think Isaiah Crowell, and whom they have at Duke Johnson, I think they're more than adequate at running back, Skip.
Pretty good, yeah.
Cleveland, they've got to, Skip. They've got to land a quarterback. They've let 2 go. They had a chance to get Carson Wentz. They let it go. They had a chance to get Deshaun Watson. They let it go. If you don't come out with a quarterback this year, and he's better be ready to play, Skip, everybody's getting fired. They're not going to give Hugh another year. And I believe Hugh is good at what he does, but he's not getting a 4th year if this thing doesn't turn around this year.
That's a fact. So, I'm going on the record again. Saquon Barkley is not Ezekiel Elliott. I don't care what offensive line you put both of them behind. He's just not in that class. Zeke is up in here somewhere. He was so extraordinary at the end of the year, his second to last year at Ohio State, when in the Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin, he goes for 220, and then against St. Nick's defense in the national semifinal, 230. This is Ezekiel Elliott I'm talking about. National championship game, Oregon, 246. It's like boom, boom, and boom. He just keeps taking it up. These are extraordinary numbers by an extraordinarily gifted running back, a life changer behind any offensive line. He is going to gash defenses. And Saquon, he goes to the combine and he lit it up sort of like Josh Allen lit it up. You know, he's all the measurables. He runs 4.4, that's second best among running backs. He bench presses 29 times to tie Nick Chubb for the most of running backs, and then he verticals 41 inches, which was the best among running backs.
To put that in perspective, Joe Thomas, who's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame,
he will.
Did it 28 times.
28 times, okay? So this is extraordinary. I'm going to remind everybody again, Emmitt Smith ran 4.6 at the combine because Emmitt Smith had football speed. I'm going to remind everybody.
225 10 times.
Maybe. I'm not sure he could go double digits. We'd have to look that up. But I'm not sure about that because he never was in great upper body shape. But it didn't matter. Antonio Brown ran 4.59. Let's just give it 4.6 at the combine. Antonio Brown, he's lightning.
Yeah.
He can run past anybody, and he's got quickness and deep speed because it's football speed, and you can't sort of figure it out. It doesn't translate into a 40-yard dash.
How about this, Skip? And you covered this guy. Now, he could run fast, but he wasn't a workout warrior. He might have did it 5. He might have not even bitch. Marshall Faulk.
Yeah.
You look at Marshall Faulk. I remember when I first saw him at the Pro Bowl. I was like, this dude.
What?
You? Like built like
Lightning.
that?
You're the one they're talking about?
And
Lightning.
Dude would juke you,
Oh.
would run past you, and could.
Put him on that turf in St. Louis. It was not fair what was happening.
Let's not just fall under the assumption that Barkley's just fast. Because, I mean, this guy on the field, he has all those things.
Yeah, he checks all the
He
boxes.
will make you
Fast,
miss.
powerful,
He can catch it out of the
explosive.
backfield. He is not a one-trick pony. Now, I'll agree with you. He's not Elliott. I don't think he's your Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette, give it to you
I didn't see
28, 30
that.
times. If you go back to his numbers at Penn State, there was only twice last year that he carried the ball north of 20 times in a game.
Yeah, okay.
21 and 28. One of them was against Ohio State. He averaged under 3 yards per carry.
He had 44 total yards.
3 times last year, he averaged under 3 yards per carry. I don't think he's your workhorse. Let's just put it like this. He's probably more Christian McCaffrey than he is Leonard
I
Fournette.
agree with that. I'm with you. Because what happened against Ohio State? He runs back the opening kickoff. It was electric, man.
But then
44 yards happened.
yeah, it was so.
And for the most part, now everybody uses a two-back system.
That's right.
Nobody is the bell cow where they're getting Adrian Peterson type numbers.
Right.
They're carrying the ball 300, 350 times.
So he can contribute.
Right.
But the number one pick now, John Elway, remember right before they drafted Von Miller, and that was, I believe, just the second pick. It was
Yeah, it was.
the first time Denver had
2011.
selected that high, maybe ever. And it was one of John's
I
first
think
picks.
1990, you got Mike Kroll with the 4th pick overall.
That's right, inside the top
91.
5. So what happened is John said, listen, you got to select a Hall of Famer up here.
Yeah.
In this air, right? In this air.
Yeah.
Well, at number one, that was number 2. Now we're talking about Cleveland at number 1, right? Do you take Saquon Barkley? Not only do you need a guy that could potentially go to the Hall of Fame or be in that category, you've got to change your franchise for a decade. If you've got the number 1 pick, you better change. There's only
got to be a
3
perennial
ways.
Pro Bowler, Skip. He's got to be a perennial Pro Bowler. When you get that high, Skip, you get top 5, 6, 7. Because remember, you're talking about that draft 2011. The first pick was Cam, MVP. Von Miller was 2. Darius, Pat Peterson, A.J. Green, Julio Jones. That was your top 6 picks.
Great players.
And by the way, I'm going to say it again because I give John high credit for this because we blast him on his quarterback picks because they've been terrible. But I did not see this Von Miller, and I watched a whole bunch of A&M on television that year, and he did not leap off my screen, and he started leaping when he became a pro.
Well, John worked him out and said he's the closest thing to Derek Thomas that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Guess who saw a lot of Derek Thomas? John
Exactly.
Elway in that division back then. There's only 3 ways you change your organization for a decade in the National Football League. Only 3. Get the quarterback right. That's a number 1. Trade, like we saw so many teams do in terms of building up their roster with that number 1 pick, or pass rusher.
Yep.
I don't think anything else changes your organization for a decade.
Because those other positions are dependent.
That's right.
Von Miller's not dependent. All he gonna do, he's dependent on you throw the ball. He gonna go get you. Receiver, your quarterback's terrible. He's gonna make you look bad.
Right, and you look at Von Miller in a T-shirt, and it's not that impressive. I got to tell you, it's just not. He's not that big.
He's not
that
nope,
cut.
nope.
Then you watch him run around a big hula hoop with his shoulder 2 inches on the ground, and you're like, wait, what is going on down there?
And that's what everybody wants. Can he bend the edge? You want a guy that can bend the edge. He can rush with power. But if you're going to look, I'm not taking, for me, like I said, if he's substantially better than any quarterback, Skip, and he's high on your board, well, I think you go by your board. You say, we set our board, and that's what we're going to do. If you set your board and he's substantially better than any of these quarterbacks, but if it's close.
That's what you know what you do?
Trade.
You trade. If he's substantially better, trade. Because then you still have that 4th bullet, if you will, and you could get back up to 2 or 3.
But you want to be in a position, you want to be able to choose your quarterback and not have someone select him for you. Because someone's going to move up. If they move up, they're moving up. I don't believe they're moving up to take Saquon Barkley. I believe they're moving up to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
And so now they take it out of your hands because they're possibly taking the quarterback you wanted, and then because by the time you get, so what, you move back to 4? Because I believe Saquon Barkley is not getting past Indy. because they're not
Well,
re-signing
you
Frank
said
Gore.
Giants, right?
I don't think, if you were to give me three scenarios, do the Giants take Saquon Barkley, they select Bradley Chubb, or they trade the pick? I would say all three of those would happen before they take a quarterback at number 2.
Okay. So you're saying you're angling toward
I'm
would take
hedging
Saquon.
towards they're going to take Saquon
Okay.
Barkley.
Well, as a
Or
Cowboy
Quentin
fan,
Nelson, actually, by the way.
Who's that?
Quentin Nelson, the
Oh, he
guard
was-
from
yeah,
Notre
okay,
Dame.
but
Man, you better not take no guard.
I'm just telling
unless he Larry
Here's the
Allen,
thing.
Skip.
Here's the thing. You know who the only player is at the combine that everyone says is like that much better than everybody else? Quentin Nelson. It's not even Barkley. But everyone's sitting there like, wait, can I take a guard in the top 5? And
Because
people are having trouble with that. But he's the one everyone's talking
I
about.
think Ogden went 4th.
He did.
I mean, and that's a franchise. I mean, he locked it down for 11 years. You're talking about Walter Jones. You're talking about Orlando Pace, Skip. You're talking about guys that are going to
Not guards.
What did he do that stood out? So that everyone talked about?
His film, first of all, is maybe the most impressive interior lineman film that these guys have evaluated in 5 to 10 years. Everyone's talking about this guy. You put him on any roster in the National Football League, speaking of Quentin Nelson from Notre Dame, that he's going to be in his first 5 Pro Bowls in his first 5 years.
He's better than Zach Martin?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a
'cause-
mouthful.
And not just like, well, yeah, I think he could be. Yes.
Wow.
Speaking of the Cowboys, if Saquon does go to the Giants, as a Cowboy fan, I will not be afraid. I will not be afraid, even though that's a huge need position for them. That will upgrade their running back position.
Could help Eli out, extend his career a little bit.
No mercy.
Jerry Jones sounds confident that Dez Bryant will be back with the Cowboys next season. Dez's status in Dallas has been a question since he said he would not take a pay cut after a disappointing season. Let's take a listen to Jerry on Dez.
And you envision him still being a Cowboy?
But again, I want to make sure that I don't want to give any answer that implies that I have anything in my mind but that he is with the Cowboys, he's under contract, and we have not done anything that alters getting our returning contract players, and we haven't done anything that would alter counting on them to be on the field next year. So as we sit right here, yes. You've asked me, as I sit here, do we want him on the team next year? The answer is yes.
All right, Shannon, what do you make of what Jerry had to say there?
He loved it.
Yeah, Jesse, Stephen Jones has already been the bad cop. He's made it abundantly clear how he feels about Dez Bryant. Here come old Papa Jones, Jerry, playing good cop. Now, Skip, he says, the reason we don't discuss contract is that it implies there's an issue with the contract. But we discussed the contract, which implies there's an issue with the contract. Skip, he says he views Dez as a number 1 receiver. We didn't get we mentioned that part, but he says he views Dez as a number 1 receiver.
Yep.
If he views Dez as a number 1 receiver, what are we talking about? Why are we discussing Dez's contract if he's a number 1 receiver? Because you don't believe he's a number 1 receiver. See, Jerry gets paralyzed by two fears. Regret. Regret, Skip, because he's like, I haven't won a championship with Dez. Same thing happened with Tony Romo, Skip. It was the fact he said his greatest disappointment, it was he was unable to get to and win a championship with Tony Romo.
His greatest in his whole NFL career.
So the two
Said
thieves,
Hall of Famer Jerry
So
Jones.
the two thieves that's paralyzing Jerry is regret and fear. Regret he hasn't won one with Dez, and the fear he goes somewhere else and turns it around and becomes 2013, 2014 Dez. That is the fear that Jerry has. Now, Skip, in another article, I got it. Skip, this is good. I love Jerry. He says,
By the way, Jenny, he hates
I love Jerry.
He's saying it with a little smile on his
Now,
face.
Skip, hold on. Now, it says 2017, he appeared to be on the upswing with 6 touchdowns, 838 yards, but he was battling a foot fracture and tendonitis. And Jones says you have to credit some of that to injury. But yet you want the man to take a pay cut, a substantial pay cut. And remember, I told you earlier, Skip, when you on that field, whether you took an injection, whether you took pain pills, the only thing Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones sitting up in the owner's box and those fans that's watching in the stadium and on television, they see 88, they see Bryant. They do not care what it took for you to get to that point and be able to play on Sunday. So even though, and Jerry acknowledged it, so yeah, that's a part of the reason his production slipped, because he was injured. But we still gonna get some of that money. So now what we have at play here, Skip, if Dez is what Jerry believes, what Michael Irvin staunchly defends, why are they talking to him? They're not talking to Travis Fredericks. They're not talking to Sean Lee. No. They're not going to be discussing with Tyron Smith. Yep. They're talking to Dez Bryant. See, my thing is, Skip, Dez does not have a great rapport. I don't know why you bring him back at a reduced rate, because this is what we know. When Dak Prescott throws in his direction, his completion percentage goes down, his turnover rate goes up.
It does.
It's fact. Dez, if I'm Dez, I take my chance on the open market because it's a thin market out there.
Yeah,
Sammy Watkins, but the Rams say we want Sammy back.
Yeah.
So you got Terrell Pryor. You got a few guys. Mike Wallace.
Landry could be. It looks like he's.
But he's a slot receiver.
Yeah, okay.
Take your chances, Dez.
Yeah.
But Dez don't, because you know what it requires, Skip. It's probably gonna require you to learn a different offense. And what you did in the Cowboys. See, at Dallas, the fans are always gonna love Dez, Skip. They drafted him. Jerry's always gonna love it. He drafted him. But you don't bring that when you go to another team. You got to show them. You got to show those fans. Dez is afraid of that. You know what's happening, Skip.
I do.
It's interesting.
And for the record, I used to love me some
did.
Dez Bryant. 88, throw up the X.
You threw it up a lot in 2014.
Last year I was just throwing up, period. Just throwing up. So Jerry Jones is facing a season-making or season-breaking decision right here on Dez Bryant.
Correct.
And I'm going to say it again. Jerry Jones, for the sake of his football team, has to swallow his pride and bury his emotions connected to Dez Bryant and let go of Dez Bryant. He's got to cut bait by cutting Dez Bryant. I don't see any way clear of this, because asking a man so proud, a man who believes he was born to finish his career with the Dallas Cowboys, asking that man to take a big pay cut.
A big one too, Skip.
Is so dangerous, because he's never going to quite be happy with this. It's going to make him more volatile. I'm talking about Dez. Make him more volatile. It's going to make him more quickly frustrated. It's going to make him make more waves than he's made already, because all he knows is, I was the man in Dallas. And he was through 2014, and then his body betrayed him. It broke down.
Correct.
It broke down. We're going to talk about Kobe here in a little bit, but the way Kobe's body at the end, it was just breaking down everywhere, right?
Yep.
It was like
Knee,
a litany.
Achilles,
It was just,
labrum.
you could list them, and it would like 13 deep of things wrong with Kobe's body, and we're getting there with Dez Bryant right now. And I'm sorry for it, but again, I love the Cowboys a lot more than I love Dez. In the end, any fan does. And right now, the decks need to get cleared for the sake of the young quarterback now going into his third year. Because as you point out, I just don't see any connection, any rapport, any wavelength with this receiver the way Tony Romo and Dez had wavelength.
So will they be in the market? Because if you get rid of Dez, are you going to be in the market for a receiver?
Well, obviously, my whole contention here is contingent upon you don't need one, you need two more.
Yeah, I would make a play for Sammy Watkins. But Skip, Jerry has an affinity. Now, guys that he didn't draft or he got from another team, he loves Deion. He loves Charles Haley. They helped him win Super Bowls, but he didn't draft them.
No.
They didn't start their careers as Cowboys. And sees that fear and regret. The fear
Now, Jerry went out and on his own acquired both of them.
Yes.
He outbid everybody and out-finessed everybody for Deion.
Yes.
Went from winning a Super Bowl in San Francisco to winning one for the Cowboys, the arch rival.
Right.
And he was the linchpin pulling off that trade for Charles Haley.
And to get Charles and Jerry, everybody, there are very few locker rooms could have dealt with Charles Haley, as great a player as he was at the time.
Jimmy Johnson wasn't happy with this because he thought it was going to be a real hard ride.
Well, you know Charles. I know Charles.
I do know him.
We know a different side of Charles than even the public know.
Yep.
So he's not an easy guy. Back then, he was even more difficult to get along with.
I never felt like, again, Deion loved Jerry and vice versa, but not like this. This is like son thing.
Exactly.
This is another son.
So the fear that possibly I didn't win a championship with Dez or Tony,
Yep.
and then they go somewhere else. Skip, I don't care what Jim Irsay says. Oh, he's happy to have Andrew Luck. But you don't think he's upset that Peyton Manning not only went to 2, won a Super Bowl after he kicked him to the curb because he said he was done. The Indy doctors told him, say, Peyton Manning not playing anymore. And the guy gets to. So that's what Jerry's up against. Man, Dez goes somewhere else and has a resurgence.
Yep.
We let him go, and we could have had him here. He wanted to be here, and we could have just.
That would tear Jerry
That,
apart.
ooh. So that's what he's up against. But Skip.
You think Belichick ever worried about that? He parted ways a year early with a lot of
A lot of guys.
Anybody come back to haunt him?
He was and if Mr. Kraft hadn't put his foot down, he was going to part ways with someone else.
That would have been his first big mistake.
That's what he's going to part ways with. But Skip, this is if I'm Dez Bryant, you look. If Dez was what he thinks he is, because you remember they asked him, Skip, they asked him the media, Dez, would you be willing to take a pay cut? He thought about it. He like, hell no.
No.
Hell no, I ain't taking no pay cut.
He did try. It went in his head for a second. Hell no.
Because then, Skip, guess what happens? See, that's ego. That's pride talking.
Yeah.
But then the realization put, oh, I'm taking a pay cut or I'm getting cut. So that's the thing. So what do we, if I'm Dez, take my chances. But see, Dez is comfortable here. Going to a new team, what does it require, Skip? It requires you to learn a new offense and it's going to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You might have to switch positions.
Yeah.
You might have to play multiple positions. So they put a lot of things on your plate. Trust me, Shannon Sharpe went to a new team.
You did.
And it was foreign to me because I was comfortable.
Hard.
You know, hey, Mike drop a game plan and say, Shannon, we're going to be in far double
agree.
wing. We're going to be in
I'm with
Tiger.
you.
I'm cool. I got it. And
Plus,
then,
it's a whole new city, new circumstance, new fandom.
now all of a
Feels
sudden we go, I hear 70 for him. And when I hear 70, now all of a sudden I'm like, hold on. 70 at the old place, I was blocking. 70 over in Baltimore, I'm releasing. 50, I was blocking. 50, I'm like, whoa, hold on, slow this down. And so they throwing it all on your plate. Shannon, you got to learn this. Shannon, you got to learn the Tiger position. Also learning the X at the same time.
Yep.
Skip, it's a lot on your plate.
And
It's
remember,
a lot.
Dez grew up in Texas.
Yeah.
He played at Oklahoma State, but Oklahoma's like an extension of Texas, so it feels like it's in the neighborhood. And if you throw him into San Francisco or New York or somewhere, it's going to feel way different to him.
And it hurt, Skip, because it said, Denver saying, I can't do this no more.
That's true.
Denver believed that the guys that they have on that roster is better than Shannon.
I got you.
So now I got to go show him O'Shea still got a little something left.
Yep.
You know, it ain't full, but it's 3/4.
I got you.
So Dez, it's on you.
Even at a dramatically reduced rate, if you throw Dez Bryant back into this lineup and force Dak Prescott on occasion to force throws to Dez Bryant, is it not a recipe for disaster?
He's still Dez, though. In the Cowboys, Skip, in his mind, he's still Dez Bryant. He's still that guy from 2013, 2014. So even though you reduce his salary, you ain't changed the number. You didn't change him. You just changed the amount of money that you pay him. In his mind, he still believes he should get as many attempts.
Sure.
Think about it, Skip. He didn't even have 100 yards receiving. He had one game in which he got close to 100. That was 98 against the Rams, but it took him 13 targets.
Yep.
Skip, he's not that guy anymore.
He's not that guy.
And anybody that believes that he is, they're fooling themselves.
So with Dez Bryant, it is all or it is nothing. And I say it's time for nothing for the sake of the young quarterback.
Well, you won't be
nothing.
You will not be able to throw up the X ever again. So then
I'm
what?
good. I am good.
You good with not throwing up the X?
I don't need to throw up the X. I'm over it. I'm done. I'm over it. Jerry's got to get over it right now. And maybe you will.
Skip, I've never seen you like
He
this.
kind of squelched his son, though. Like his son's been out there just sort of openly campaigning. We got to do something about Dez. And Dad came in and said,
good cop, bad cop. I mean, but Steven ain't no bad cop. Steven was an awful cop. Steven just come out there and flat and say, hey, Dez, no. This is a business. And when your production is not meeting the salary, your decisions have to be made.
Well, there's only one person on this planet that Jerry will occasionally listen to, and it's Stephen Jones.
Yeah,
occasionally.
Well, someone has to do it, boy.
Yep.
He's emotionally attached, Jerry.
He does.
2014
Jerry
was a
loves
long
hard.
time ago.
Jerry loves hard. Jerry loves hard. Skip, you know you love
But
hard.
remember, Jerry loves Jerry, too. And so it's his pride's on the line. I handpicked him. I told y'all he was going to change the game, and he did for a little while.
And then if he were to go somewhere else and get 1,000 yards, like 10 touchdowns.
No, it won't happen.
Probably not going to happen. Oh, I have to agree there.
No mercy.
Don't look now either, because the Lakers, well, they've won 5 straight, and Lonzo Ball is a big reason why. Lonzo at 18 points, 11 assists, career high 6 3-pointers in Saturday's win against the Spurs. 3 of Lonzo's threes came in crunch time and gave the Lakers the lead late in the fourth. He has been criticized for shooting, and he addressed the critics after the game. Take a listen.
Early in the season, when you were missing shots, it was global news. The narrative was so intense on you. Now that it's a few months past, I mean, can you say were you hearing it, and how was it affecting you?
I mean, it wasn't affecting me. I was just missing shots. If it affected me, I wouldn't be shooting right now. Teammates tell me to keep shooting, coaches tell me to keep shooting, so I'm gonna keep shooting. People still gonna hate, I think, so it don't really matter to me. I just go out there and play.
Oh, Shannon, I gotta ask you every day, are you still hating on Lonzo?
He's still hating.
There's a Skip Bayless. You posed this question.
I might have.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
So now let me get this straight, Jenny.
Yeah.
So in 2018, when O'Shea Sharpe tell the truth, he hating. So we just want to look at Lonzo's last 4 ball games, Skip. That's what we're gonna look. That's what Skip want me to believe.
Okay.
So now he's what? 12 of 16, 12 of 18 from the 3 ball. So he's a 64% 3-point shooter. Is that what you have me to believe?
Wait, the last 4 games,
Yes.
he's 14 of 22. That's 64%.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he's a 64%.
Okay, well, time out. Can I go back to December 12th?
Yeah.
The last 15 games, he's 44 of 99. That's 44%.
Okay.
44%. That's a pretty good sample size.
I'm not
That's
hating,
15
Jenny.
games.
I've never been a hater. I'm a truth teller. And everybody can't handle the truth. They want the truth, but they can't handle the truth.
Yeah, but your truth has
You
been
want me in
wrong.
this chair. You need me in this
Yes,
chair,
it's
Skip
been
Bayless.
proven wrong.
Here's the thing, Skip. So how do I ignore the first 36? When he was shooting 36% from the floor, 30% from the 3-point line, 48% from the free throw line. How do I ignore that and just come to these last 4 games? Because even with that, Skip, now he's shooting 35, even at 64% clip that he's shooting at now, the 3-point line, he's bumped that up to 35% from the 3. He still hasn't cracked 40% from the field goal. And he's only shot 3 free throws in 4 games. So now all of a sudden he's Steph Curry. That's what you want me to believe?
You see him at the end of the game at San Antonio?
Hold on.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I saw.
3 of them.
Nice one. Ooh, nice.
Not 2 of them, 3 of them.
Nice.
True.
Hold on.
Whew.
No, I watch him. I don't watch him like you do because I don't watch the Lakers like that. They come on late, so I be going to bed, Jenny, because I got to get up early to bust Skip up. Julius Randle, who's been playing the best basketball of anybody on this team, said he couldn't hit the side of the backboard. Now he can't miss. So I guess Julius Randle hating too.
I think that was hateful. But guess who? LeVar Ball,
No.
father of Lonzo.
So now,
Wait, didn't LeVar take a shot at Julius?
Yeah.
Remember that?
But Skip, was he lying? Tell me the lie that he said in that statement. Because, see, a lie don't care who tell it, but neither does the truth. So he said he couldn't hit the side of the backboard, now he can't miss. Shay Sharpe said the same thing. Shooting 30% from 3. Is that good?
Could Lonzo hit the side of a backboard at UCLA last year?
He ain't at UCLA. He ain't at UCLA.
What did he shoot last year at UCLA?
I don't know what he shot.
Yes, you do.
I don't know.
I've driven it in I've burned it into your brain. 41%.
41%.
Yep.
So, Skip, this is not hate. The fact of the matter is that he's playing better. I still would like to see him get to the free throw line, Skip. 3 free throws in 4 games, that's not nearly good enough for someone that handles the ball as much as he did. He's shooting better. Okay, but let's
Better?
Whoa.
If you look at this since December 12th, and again, he's missed some games with injury, but he's tied for 5th among players over that span of time. That's with a minimum of 95 attempts. But it's Steph, KD, Al Horford, Reggie Bullock are the only players ahead of him shooting threes. So over a pretty good span of time, he's 5th in the NBA in shooting threes.
So let me ask
the NBA, not at UCLA.
If you don't mind me asking, so if you factor that in with those 36 games that he did play, where would he rank on that list? Let me see. I don't see you got.
You mean the overall list?
Yeah. If you rank in those 36 games, because I'm looking at it.
What did I first guess? What did I tell you before the season started? No rookie in the history of sports had more pressure.
Tony Parker said he had more pressure.
That's a
Tony Parker said he had more pressure.
Nobody knew Tony Parker was.
He said, I'm coming in, I got to direct traffic with Tim Duncan, the MVP.
He did not.
Skip, all I'm saying, this is where you and I differ. The only thing is, you believe he'll be transcendental. I do not. I think he'll be
transcendent. not dental.
I think he'll be. You think he'll be transcendent?
I said that, and then this guy named Magic Johnson said it.
Okay.
And then a guy named Earl Watson, who's coached in this league, came and sat right there early this year and said he is transcendent.
I think he'll be. I think he'll be a very good player. I think LeBron is transcendent. I think there are certain guys that are transcendent. I don't see it with him, but that doesn't mean he can't be a very good player.
He is already a great player.
Stop! He's not a great player. Stop!
He's impacting the game in so many subtle ways that it is extraordinary what he's already doing at age 20. The other night at San Antonio, he has 18 points, 11 rebounds, and he's right there leading the team in rebounding. It's between him and Julius. 7 assists. And a steal and 2 blocks. And in the first quarter of that game, he rose up over Pau Gasol and swatted one that, I don't know if we got this or not.
You know they got it.
I don't know.
He
I'm not
make me,
sure.
oh, Skip, man, I want you to stop with this.
Oh, wait, we do have it. Wait, watch this. Here's Pau going up. And look at Lonzo swat it. He swatted it like he's 7 feet tall.
Why you do that, Skip?
No, I'm serious. Look at this. Was that not a swat? When I was watching it live, I said, my God, this is a point guard. This is a point guard doing this. But he's 6'7", and he's long, and don't tell me he's not athletic. And he can steal it, and he can block it, and he can pass it, and it's all subtle. I told you on Friday, it's like he's playing Mensa basketball, high IQ basketball. It's not for the easily amused. It's not for, oh, did he score 30? No, he didn't score 30. He had 29 at Phoenix in game number 2 this year. But here's what just happened. I believe Jordan Clarkson was hard on Lonzo Ball. Jordan Clarkson, as you see, and we talked about him on Friday, he is a tough, opinionated young man. He is his own man. And you saw what he did at the end of the Thursday night game, right? And I believe he was all over Lonzo Ball. I believe it's like the equivalent of having Patrick Beverley in your own locker room to start the year because he's playing behind Lonzo, and I'm sure he's just giving him the business in the locker room.
And he was playing. Most of those games, he was playing better than Lonzo.
He was.
And so
he wants those minutes.
Right.
And I know how Shannon Sharpe would be. You'd be all over it.
Yeah, I need to get those, bro.
Yeah,
I need to get those. I need to get some of that. What you got?
Yeah. And all of a sudden, that deck got a little bit cleared. And I'm seeing Lonzo play far more freely, far more aggressively, and speak far more assertively. He did a stand-up on court post-game interview on the local station here in L.A., and it was the best I've seen him where he was actually assertive. Usually he's wishy-washy, like trying to duck and dodge every question. And he was more forthright, like, I'm becoming my own man. And I haven't heard from his father lately, which is tremendous. I just haven't heard from him.
But Skip, and I know you love Lonzo, but you see what Julius Randle is doing.
No, he's a good
now
player.
I don't know, Skip.
He was always a good player.
You know the contract. You know, guys normally play a little hard with that contract. Up on the line. But he's been a monster.
Well, Luke said, to Luke's credit, back in training camp, that he was a monster last year.
And he said Julius Randle said he was going to lose weight. He came in shape and, he had some Instagram. He was eating fish and doing all those things. So he looks like a different player. Julius Randle's been a monster. He's been 20-9 since the start of January. Start of February. So he's been every bit, if not better, than Lonzo Ball. But I'm going to give Lonzo credit. I have no problem giving credit, but I also have no problem heaping criticism. And Lonzo Ball wasn't playing up to the number 2 draft pick, Skip. He wasn't
for a while.
Right. But he's playing better now. That's okay. But we just can't say in the last 4 games because he's doing this, we're going to disregard the previous 36 games. We can't do that, Skip. I mean, you love doing that because I saw you do it for a long time with a guy that played quarterback, Jenny. He would disregard the 55 minutes that he stunk up the joint. Stunk it up. But the last 5 minutes, he got the highest QBR, he got the highest completion percentage, and all he does is win.
He is referring to this guy named Tebow.
I ain't referred to him.
I thought maybe.
Yeah, you should ask Shannon about a restaurant, this sort of fictional restaurant that he owns here in Los Angeles. And it only serves one thing. What is it? Doves, as in wins, as in victory.
Yes.
And Tim Tebow took over a 1-4 football team and went on the most incredible role maybe in NFL history and took that team all the way to the division championship from 1-4 and beat Ben Roethlisberger head-to-head in a playoff game, and he still discounts it.
Well, what happened was I had to close early because I wasn't doing business. So for 55 minutes, there wasn't nobody coming into my restaurant, Jenny. So nobody came early or made reservations, so I closed shop.
So night after Sunday night, Tim Tebow came knocking on the restaurant
was
door and it was
gone.
closed.
I was gone.
And he couldn't get his dub
I was
that
like,
he had earned.
where were you earlier?
Yeah.
Call and make reservations.
Yep. Well, speaking of dubs, the Lakers have won 5 straight,
They have.
and they've won 9 out of 12, and they've crept within, believe it or not, 6.5 of that 8th playoff spot. I know it's a long shot, but hey, it's Denver's in the 6th spot. That's the depth of the West. You love Denver. They're only in the 8th playoff spot right now.
And I'm surprised because you watch them play, Skip.
I watched
They
them
can
wax LeBron's team.
Whoa! See, that was unnecessary,
Well,
Skip.
did
that
they
was
not?
all I was asking.
Wow.
Skip. You've seen the Nuggets play. What did they do to Warriors? They're capable of beating anybody because they got that monster Jokic.
They got him. He's a
and
good
they got
player.
guys that can just flat out shoot.
Shoot it. They do.
And
Gary
I'm like, how y'all in the 8? How y'all in this? They should be better, but that's okay. Don't worry about all that. We talking about Lonzo. Lonzo, you playing well, and I'm not hating. 2018, I tell the truth, and some view that Jenny is hate, but let it be.
No mercy.
Kobe Bryant is officially an Oscar winner. He won an award last night for his animated short, Dear Basketball. The 5-time NBA champ put this new trophy in perspective. Let's hear what he had to say.
I feel better than winning a championship, to be honest with you. I swear I do. It's you know, growing up as a kid, I dreamt of winning championships, you know, and working really hard to make that dream come true. But then, like, to have something like this seemingly come out of left field, you know, and like, you know, I heard a lot of people tell me when I started writing, and they would ask me, what are you going to do when you retire? And I'd say, well, I want to be a writer. I want to be a storyteller. And I got a lot of, yeah, that's cute. That's cute. You'll be depressed when your career is over and you'll come back to playing, you know. And I got that a lot. And so to be here right now and to have like a sense of validation is, dude, this is crazy, man. It's crazy.
Can't deny his excitement. It's good to see. Shannon, are you buying that the Oscar means more to Kobe than the titles?
I absolutely do. Because as I mentioned last week at the Icon Man Award, I had an opportunity to talk to Kobe Bryant, and a lot of what he said there, he was talking to me when he and I was talking, and I don't normally divulge conversation, but since he divulged it.
You divulge lots of conversation.
I don't like to do
It's
that,
like
Skip.
every other day
I don't like
you drop another conversation name. But go ahead.
But talking to Kobe, and he said that. He said, man, and I said, well, you know, do you miss it? He said, hell no. He said, as an athlete, you know this. He said, when you devote your every life, your every waking moment to being the best at something and you leave no stone unturned, you're able to walk away and feel good with what you were able to accomplish. He said, I felt I could get nothing else out of my career. That was it. He says, but now in this, he says, I'm equally, if not more motivated to do this and be great at this as I was basketball. You see, Skip, as he said, he dreamt of winning a championship. In the backyard, how many times did he say 5, 4, 3, 2, walk off, game winner, game 7, NBA Finals? How many times did he stand in front of a mirror and read an acceptance speech about winning an Oscar? Not once. So this is the ultimate value. Because we all, listen, contrary to what people say, Jenny, we know this to be true. We all want validation. No matter what you do, you want validation. You play a particular sport, the ultimate validation you could get is going to the Hall of Fame. If you winning a Pulitzer Prize or a Nobel Prize is your validation. When you do this, and there are a lot of people that's done this a lot longer than Kobe Bryant, but they haven't received the ultimate validation, which is winning that statue. Skip, this is unbelievable. And it goes to show you athletes are much more than what they appear to be. He's much more than dribbling. He's much more than shooting. So for him, he didn't shut up. So now what we're starting to see, athletes, because for the longest time, we've been debunked this theory, dumb jock. So we've been debunked that. So now what we're starting to see is that we're starting to see athletes do other things. And he said it. He said, man, everybody tell me, man, Kobe, you're going to be depressed. You're going to go, and he's like, you know, he's a little more profane than what I've cleaned up on air, Skip. He said, no, that's not going to happen to me. You could see the passion and desire, and just talking to him, you know why he was successful in his sport, and you know why just talking to him why he'll be successful in this. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. A basketball player, a former basketball player, won an Oscar.
Yep.
Give me one an Oscar.
Yeah.
Top that. I know somebody who didn't win one. I know somebody who didn't win one, and I know somebody who hadn't won one yet. Yeah.
Who?
I ain't gonna say nothing. I don't call no name. This Kobe show. This Kobe segment. Kobe, you do your thing. Kobe, my dog.
I really don't know who you're talking
You
about.
know who I'm talking about.
I don't.
Who hasn't won an Oscar in the that played NBA basketball?
Oh, Michael Jeffrey.
Yeah. And
the real 23.
And who's gonna win an Oscar for directing or writing or producing?
When did Michael Jordan ever set out to win an
I'm just telling you what's gonna happen.
Oh,
now
so that
you go
means
ahead.
Kobe's better than Michael as a
I didn't
basketball
say that,
player?
Skip,
That's what
baby.
you're trying to
I didn't say that.
angle toward.
Dear basketball, I'm gonna write me one with dear football. I'm gonna win me Oscar.
I would like you to do that.
You know what? Knowing you're going to sit down and try it today. Dear football, I miss you dearly. Right? You know? It can
No,
happen.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna write what, dear working with Skip Bayless. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna win.
That might win you
An
something.
Oscar winner.
Yeah. So I am not at all surprised that Kobe won this. He always had a poet's soul and an artist's heart, and he's just like LeBron. When Kobe spoke, I always listened when he was playing, because he always had something deep to say or to sort of enlighten you on. He was worth listening to.
Yes.
And again, like LeBron, when it came to race or politics or whatever, I'm listening to Kobe Bryant. So does any of that surprise me? Is he as driven to succeed after basketball as he was during? You better believe he was. And I'm a big Kobe fan, so none of this surprises me. But I look at the big picture of things, and you know, for me, I was such a fan of his as a player. Do I really think this meant more than winning championships? I'm sorry, I don't, because he was as driven a basketball player as anybody I ever covered this side of Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
But I think the expectation.
I got it. The degree of difficulty here was high.
Correct.
Even though the theme was still basketball, he's writing to his sport. So it's the transition. He was transitioning easily off what he knew into what he doesn't know, which is writing.
Right.
And yet, I think he knows it. He says he's writing novels. Will I bet against him?
Yes.
Do you think he'll become successful? I do.
I do, because he told me, Skip, he says every waking moment, he says he goes to bed thinking about writing.
Yeah.
He wakes
Good.
up thinking about writing. Sometimes he wakes up in the middle of the night and writes.
And for someone who was this driven,
Yes.
I knew the transition was going to be hard, so he was going to have to find something else
Something.
to obsess over.
Yes.
And he is obviously obsessing
Yes.
over this. And now that he's had very early validation, and the biggest validation you can get in this country, right, or in the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then now he's going to be even more driven. He's probably up right now. I think he gets on the Stairmaster or whatever he gets on, right?
Yep.
That's what he says. He
up early.
looked great last night.
Yeah.
He looked like he could still play.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's in peak physical condition,
All right.
Skip.
So now, one big picture step back last night. At the end of the night, I sat back, and obviously the prevailing themes of the night at the Oscars, Me Too, Time's Up, and yet Kobe Bryant has come full circle in his life from what happened, the incident at Eagle, Colorado, 15 years ago, at a time when he lost endorsements. I was fearful he was going to lose his wife and his, did they have any family?
Yeah, they had kids.
one, yeah. So now they came full circle that in spite of all that, he came to Me Too Time's Up night and broke through and won an Oscar with Vanessa, his wife, and his 3 daughters front and center. That's pretty impressive to me, because then his degree of difficulty even went up higher.
Yes.
And he has been able to rise above all that, right?
Yes, I think, and a part of that, Skip, is because a lot of times is that what we see from Kobe is that there were no further incidences.
Nope.
It's kind of like Ray. When Ray went through his situation,
Yep.
there was no
That's a
further
good point.
incidents
That's a
from
very
Ray
good
Lewis.
point. Yep.
And I think a lot of these guys is that what happened to Harvey Weinstein is that one is like, maybe he said, she said, but then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
It was
6,
serious.
20.
It was just,
and then for a lot of these guys, and I
No,
get
that's
it.
true. That's a
this
very good
It's
point.
a very difficult position, because a lot of times this is like, okay, she said this, and there's no trial, there's due process, and I get all that.
Yep.
But this is a new era now, Skip. You have to be very, very mindful. Shannon Sharpe is very, very mindful. I do not ride the elevator with a single female. Even when females come to my room, I leave the trash can in the door so the door's cracked, because I don't want any misconceptions. I don't even want the mention of impropriety with Shannon Sharpe.
Smart.
Because I know what that does. I've been through that.
You've been through
when
it.
someone has said something happened when I know it didn't.
Yep.
And the look on my kid's face.
I got it.
And my grandmother at the time, you know, she was in the nursing home, and my sister, you know, was able to shield her from that. But that broke my heart because I know I didn't do it, Skip. And then people that I've known for so long looked at me walking the street, and I saw how people was looking at me. Did he? Could he possibly? So I know what's going, I know how this thing works. And so I'm mindful of that. But to see Kobe come full circle, to see where he was then, if somebody would have told you in 2003 that Kobe Bryant not only would rise above this, go on to win championships, go on and have this phase of his life, you wouldn't have believed it. Because you have to write this in Hollywood. He's in Hollywood.
Well, this is a Hollywood story because he won an Oscar on Me Too night.
Yes.
Wow.
I'd be lying to you if I said the 2003 incident has always been something that I have held on to with Kobe. It's always been in the back of my mind.
Yes.
But what he has done since, who he has become, as a person, as a father, as a husband, in the community, and this next chapter, it's really refreshing to see what he's done. And I think it's just the beginning for him.
Oh, them shoes, he gave me some shoes when he used to wear Huarache. He gave me, he played in Denver, and I went back and I got a pair of them Huaraches. Them things about to go on eBay right now. You get these Huaraches from Kobe when he was number 8. He won an Oscar, they got to be worth something.
So he bought you off too, huh?
Nah, Skip. I'm gonna sell them for a nominal fee.
Shannon, you have a year before Dear Football. I would like to see.
I'm coming out with Dear Football.
Before I'd like to see.
Or Dear Skip, or Bus Skip. I might have one Bus Skip up.
Or that one, either way.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Jenny Taft. Join us again at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.